How's it going, YouTube? Coming to today's another video, and today, guys, the review is going to be the state of the game. Now, we definitely get a very small offseason, and Montreal is already in August. We have a full lineup of regionals, and honestly, I've just been taking a bit of a break since Nationals. That's why I haven't really posted. I think that it's a really nice thing to do, just kind of step away for a minute and just kind of like focus on other things. But now that we're getting into the next competitive season already, and there's other sets coming out, we kind of have to lock in and figure out what's going on. And there's still a like impending doom ban list, right? So we don't really know what's gonna be on there. We always have our predictions, which I have mine in a previous video. So definitely go ahead and check that out. But definitely just been playing a lot of GOAT lately. I've been having a lot of fun with like the Megamorph, the Cyberstein, Master of Oz deck. It's really fun. And I've been really enjoying that. So playing past formats for a little bit is definitely not the worst thing in the world. Especially like when I play GOAT, it's mostly just to do like a brain teaser before like a regional or a YCS. And it really does help like wake up your brain because there's so many like minute interactions that you gotta know. And I'm probably like never pulling out my deck, my actual like TCG modern format deck before an event. I'd rather just play like GOAT or something, right? And I feel like it's always like that little mini game that you get to play right before you're actually like at an event and ready to play the main event. So I really do enjoy playing past formats, and you should try one if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's hop into the state of the game. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Gem, Cloud, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, RW, MainPhaze, and Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so down below in the description. Subscribe to the channel so we can hit our goal at 30,000. And without further ado, let's hop right into the worst possible scenario at Nats. This is 7 out of 8 Cool Tune. And listen, Naroi got banned, right? And we're looking at Rotary now, and people are like, oh, they're going to put it to 1. And they could. But they realistically should just ban this card, and I hope they do. And they could even put Overtake back to 3 and just like let KT be a deck with everything at 3 except Rotary. And I think that'd be really cool. It was a very good regional deck. It was still winning regionals without Rotary. So this is something that I feel like the deck still is very competent and has a lot of things that it can do, but we just got to get rid of Rotary. This card is a major issue, and it just has no place in the game. Like, we just don't need more effects that say, look at the hand. Now, there's definitely a lot of banter about the Toon deck coming out because the new cards are very good. Does this lead to a bad format? I don't necessarily think so. I think that if you just play the right combination of hand traps, I think that this deck doesn't end up being that big of a problem. I think that we have a lot of other means of getting around this deck in our game, in the TCG, and I just don't really foresee this being like that crazy. I think that it's very good, and the deck can play without doing like an FTK, and I think that's really neat. But like at the end of the day, like it's a very good deck, but I don't necessarily think that this is going to be worse than like Chainlink 1Q, Chainlink 2 Rotary, Chainlink 3 Maker. Like I think that this ends up being like a little bit better than that. But I could be wrong. I think that the thing that's probably a bit worse, a bit crazier, is going to be the Power Patron deck with like the new support. I think that those cards are wild, and that's going to be a very difficult deck to play against. There's going to be a lot of things that you got to know at all times and really understand your hand trap lineup and where to throw them. And, there'll be a where to hand trap when we get there. But that's going to be something that I would feel a deck like Power Patron is going to be a whole lot scarier than what Toon could do. Now for the top 5 Tillay ban list, including new decks. We have Cool Toon, some variant of Branded, whether it's Pure, Dracotail, Rolad. You have the new Power Patron cards. You have Elf Note, which I think is still really underrated, honestly. This deck is very good. And then the Toon deck, which it will end up joining the meta. It will be a deck that is played, but I still don't think that it makes for like a necessarily bad format. I think that it's going to be okay. I think that a lot of people right now are like really scared about this just because they saw what it did in like the OCG, but I don't know if that translates the same to the TCG. I'm very skeptical about this. It could be very good, but I don't think that's going to be like be all end all. So you don't want to play a top 5 meta deck. Let me tell you, we have top 5 decks that you should consider because they're all pretty strong in their own regard. We have Blitzclick, which we already saw do really good in Genesis, and it's pretty okay in the main format right now. I'm sure that it'll take a minute for the deck to fully work its way into the meta, but still going to be something that you want to consider. Unchained with the new support, that deck is going to be heat. I'm excited for that. And then Fairy Tale, of course, Fairy Tale Magistus, very good deck. You can play Invoked Magistus as well, or like Invoked Fairy Tale Magistus, however you want to go about it. There's a couple of different builds you could play of that, but also Invoked, another deck that has gained a ton of popularity over the years, which is even more popular now because of new support. And then still Mitsurugi. And let's see if they do end up banning Haba. That'd be very interesting to see if they do or not. Two high tier rogue picks right now. Of course, one's an FTK, but I mean, it does it really well. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind. The just train FTK in general, I feel like that can be pretty brutal. But the other one is actually just Phantom Knight. The new cards are really good. And no one's playing Lancia. So, like, you can get away with a lot with this deck right now. So, something definitely just to, like, keep in mind. But if someone sits across from you playing Phantom Knight and they really know what they're doing, you could just auto lose. So, like, that's something that you really want to make sure that you're studied up on and you understand what the deck can do. I also wanted to make a point of, like, should these be legal? And there's quite a few cards in the game right now that I feel this way about. But, like, Called by a Crossout, my opinions on these have, like, drastically changed over the years. And I feel like even now, these are cards that should probably just, like, not exist. I think maybe if they were, like, a 3 of versus a 1 of, it might be more acceptable because at that point you're like able to expect and play around. But as a 1 of, it's a very sacky 1 of, and I don't really know that there's too many people in this game that actually appreciate a sacky 1 of, just because like it just feels terrible to lose to it, right? Because you're never playing around a unsearchable 1 of. But if it's a 3 of that you know is in everyone's deck because it's a card like Called by and it's broken, and you're like, okay, surely like this could be a possibility, then like sure, right? But having a card like this at 1, I like 100% believe that things like this need to be at 3 or 0. And 3 right now even would feel egregious, and I would rather just see these cards gone. And I completely understand the sentiment of like people going second, feel like going second is impossible to win because if you're going first and you open one of these, it just feels like the absolute best thing that could ever happen. But like, I feel that going first, you have a good amount of availability in your deck, especially if it's like built to go first, which most are, that you can just like set up even like a pretty good half board or put together something that's like going to let you survive till the follow up turn, right? Where these cards may not need to be a big part of your strategy. So these cards are more often more frustrating than not. And it's something that I feel like the game should do away with finally. Definitely let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I'd be interested to hear about it. And, you know, like, I feel like there's cards in the game that at one point you're like, yeah, surely this is fine. And I feel like we've kind of like crossed the threshold of me being like, you know what? These cards gotta go. And hopefully, you know, there's a couple other cards in the game, like I mentioned, that are pretty similar to these that are just like of the same power level. And I just hope that this next ban list really does put a dent into the issues that we're dealing with in the game because we need a hard reset and something to really start like itching the brain in terms of like figuring out something new to do or like play around certain hand traps, right? Instead of just being like, oh, I open Call by, I win, right? I don't like that. And it's not always an auto win either. But like when you draw it, it feels like it. I hope that everyone enjoyed today's video, and if you did, let me know down below in the comment section. I'll check you all in the next one. Thank you.